Hey everyone, welcome back to another Vic's Math Corner video. Today's topic is solving or balancing linear equations. So let's start with the basics. You'll often see these types of equations where there are variables and numbers and this little symbol here which looks like two parallel short lines. Well, to start, this is called an equal sign, and it pretty much just tells you that the two things on either side of it are equal to each other. So our task is doing some steps or some operations to make sure the thing on the left is equal to the thing on the right. That's all. Now there are a few rules that we have to keep in mind throughout this process, which you'll see. So right now, as you can see, we have two variables, or two terms with variables, but it's the same variable, x. So I'll highlight this or underline this in red. Now, we do not know what the value of x is, and so in our attempt to balance the both sides, we're going to calculate some numerical value for x. So basically, like by the end of this, we'll have x equals, I don't know, 10 or 12 or some value that we'll calculate. So now, just like how I underlined the x terms, I'm going to underline the numerical terms, or the terms with just numbers. Now this is important because you want all of the terms with just numbers on one side, so numbers on one side of the equation, and then you want all the terms with x on the other side of the equation. Right now, as you can see, we have one term with x on the left and the right, and one term with a number on the left and the right. So as you know, we're going to want to change this. Now the easiest way to change this is to either add or subtract to kind of just eliminate the value. And here's exactly what I mean. Let's just pick arbitrarily which side we want to take the x's onto. So since I put this right here, let's just move them to the right. It does not matter. So right now I have 2x on the left, so I'm going to try to get rid of that from the left. Now what I'm going to do is, since I have a positive 2x here, let me rewrite this equation. 2x plus 7 is 10. Since I have a positive 2x here and I don't want it, the easiest thing you can do is subtract 2x. That's all. But here's the catch. You can't just eliminate a value like how I seemingly do here. You have to do the same operation to both sides. So just how I subtracted 2x from the left side, I have to do the exact same to the right side, which I'll put like this. Or actually, just for consistency, I'll put like this, since these terms both have x. Now, let's see what this would yield. Or let's see what would happen if we subtracted 2x on both sides. Well, for starters, we have 2x minus 2x, which would just be 0. Then we'd have the 7 from here, which just drops down, is equal to 10x minus 9 minus 2x, which was the newly subtracted value, the thing we just did. Now we're almost at our desired place. Here on the left side we have just numbers, but on the right side, this term, the negative 9, does not have any x in it, so we actually don't want this. Now, since this value is negative 9, the easiest way to eliminate it, or to make it 0, is to add 9. So plus 9. Now similarly, just as we added 9 on the right side, we're going to have to do the same on the left side. Great. So now let's see what we get. Oh, whoops. So we have 7 plus 9, this plus 9 is new, equals 10x plus 0, right, because these terms will cancel, minus the 2x from right here. Now this is perfect. We wanted the x terms on one side and the number terms on the other side, and that's exactly what we have. Now we can simplify. So 7 plus 9 just simply combines to 16, and it's equal to 10x minus 2x, which is just 8x, because you do 10 minus 2. So now we're at the stage where 16 is equal to 8x. So we've removed most of the clutter, and we're close to finding out what just x is, just x alone. The problem is that it's not alone right now. See, there's an 8 being multiplied by it right here that I'm underlining. So this is basically saying 16 is equal to the value of 8 times x. This little dot means multiplication. So if you think back here, what we did when we had a term like -9, we reversed it by adding 9. And that practically made it worthless, right? Because it would be 0. Now, when you have multiplication or division, the way to reverse it is to do what we call the opposite operation. So in the case of multiplication, like we have here, we would use division. So if we were to divide this by 8, think about it. 8 times x divided by 8, the 8's go away, and you're left with just x. But always, you have to remember, what you do to one side, you do to the other. So the 8's cancel from here, and 16 divided by 8 simplifies to 2. So now we have x is equal to 2. Now here's the great thing about these types of equations. We can actually plug in x equals 2 to check our answer. So let's go to the original formula. And instead of plugging in x, I'll just put a parentheses, which we're going to plug in with 2. Great. So now 2 is going to go in each of these spots. And now that's going to give us 2 times 2, or 4, plus 7 equals 10 times 2, or 20, minus 9. This simplifies to 11 equals 11. So we ask ourselves, does 11 equal 11? Well, yeah, it does. So that's how we know we get the correct answer, because what's on the left side of the equation is equal or is the same to what's on the right side of the equation. So just to recap, the steps for solving these types of linear equations are: number 1, getting the terms with x on one side and all others to the other side. Number 2, simplifying. So you'll have an x term equal to some value, but you don't have x alone yet. And then lastly, you simplify one more time to get the desired result. I guess the most confusing thing about this is the thing about operations and kind of getting rid of what you don't want. So a rule of thumb is that if something is being added that you don't want, you subtract it on both sides. If something is being subtracted, you add it. Similarly, if something is being multiplied, like 8 times x, the way to reverse it is to divide 8 on both sides. And similarly, if x is being divided by something, the reverse is to multiply. Hope that made sense. So that's all for today. Feel free to drop any questions or comments in the comments section, and thanks for watching.